Hi. I tried to record reading like another part of Doom today, and apparently the video was too long because it was almost like 20 minutes because there was a lot of rambling and looking up birds and stuff, and you didn't get to see it. And since I won't be able to talk to you tonight, I thought maybe I could like start reading New Narnia because it's the only thing I have here because I'm at the old place, as you can tell from the lack of art. Nothing hanging up right now. It's a little weird. Empty, I don't know. Anyway, so, as I read it to you, it's only like 16 pages, but some of the pages have pictures. Yeah, because I'm a grown-up, and that's the kind of book I like to read. So, the first chapter of The Magician's Nephew, which is like the first book in the... Yeah, so, enjoy my awkward, sweaty, pre-shower, getting made up reading time. This is a story about something that happened long ago when your grandfather was a child. It is a very important story because it shows how all the comings and goings between our own world and the land of Narnia first began. In those days, Mr. Sherlock Holmes was still living in Baker Street, and the Bastables were looking for treasure in the Lewisham Road. In those days, if you were a boy, you had to wear a stiff Eton collar every day, and schools were usually nastier than now. But meals were nicer. And as for sweets, I won't tell you how cheap and good they were, because it would only make your mouth water in vain. And in those days there lived in London a girl called Polly Plummer. She lived in one of a long row of houses which were all joined together. One morning she was out in the back garden when a boy scrambled up from the garden next door and put his face over the wall. Polly was very surprised, because up until now there had never been any children in that house, but only Mr. Ketterley and Miss Ketterley, a brother and sister, old bachelor and old maid, living together. So she looked up full of curiosity. The face of the strange boy was very grubby. It could hardly have been grubbier if he had first rubbed his hands in the earth, and then had a good cry, and then had dried his face with his hands. And as a matter of fact, this was very nearly what he had been doing. "Hello," said Polly. "Hello," said the boy. "What's your name?" "Polly," said Polly. "What's yours?" "Diggory," said the boy. "I say, what a funny name," said Polly. "It isn't half so funny as Polly," said Diggory. "Yes, it is," said Polly. "No, it isn't," said Diggory. "At any rate, I do wash my face," said Polly, "which is what you need to do, especially after—" And then she stopped. She had been going to say, "after you've been blubbing," but she thought that wouldn't be polite. "All right, I have been," said Diggory in a much louder voice, like a boy who was so miserable that he didn't care who knew he had been crying. "And so would you," he went on, "if you lived all of your life in the country and had a pony and a river at the bottom of the garden, and then been brought to live in a beastly hole like this." "London isn't a hole," said Polly, but the boy was too wound up to take any notice of her, and he went on. "And your father wasn't away in India, and you had to come live with an aunt and an uncle who's mad. Who would like that? And if the reason that they were looking after your mother, and if your mother was ill and was going to die," and then his face went the wrong sort of shape, as it does when you're trying to keep back your tears. "I didn't know, I'm sorry," said Polly humbly, and then, because she hardly knew what to say, and also wanted to turn Diggory's mind to cheerful subjects, she asked, "Is Mr. Ketterley really mad?" "Well, he's either mad," said Diggory, "or there's some other mystery. He has a study at the top of the floor, and Aunt Letty says I must never go up there. Well, that looks fishy to begin with, and then there's another thing. Whenever he tries to say anything to me at meal times, he never tries to talk to her. She always shuts him up. She says, 'Don't worry the boy, Andrew,' or 'I'm sure Diggory doesn't want to hear about that,' or else, 'Now, Diggory, wouldn't you like to go out and play in the garden?'" "What sort of things does he try to say?" "I don't know. He never gets far enough, but there's more than that. One night, it was last night in fact, I was going past the foot of the attic stairs on my way to bed, and I don't much care for going past them either, and I'm sure I heard a yell. Perhaps he keeps a mad wife shut up there. Yes, I've thought of that. Or he might have been a pirate, like the man at the beginning of Treasure Island, and be always hiding from his old shipmates." "How exciting," said Polly. "I never knew your house was so interesting." "You may think it interesting," said Diggory, "but you wouldn't like it if you had to sleep there. How would you like to lie awake listening for Uncle Andrew's step to come creeping along the passage to your room, and he has such awful eyes. And that's how Polly and Diggory got to know one another. And it was just the beginning of the summer holidays, and neither of them was going to sea that year, so they met nearly every day. And I wanted to read more of the chapter instead of just like 3 pages, but I am actually running really late to go to the wedding thing, and as you can see, I really just am not ready. So I love you, and hopefully I get to talk to you tomorrow. You'll probably be really tired from the flight and stuff, but maybe after you have a nap before I go to bed we can Skype. I love you, and I miss you, and I wish you were here to help me get ready for the wedding. I'll see you soon.